everybody, it's Neenah. Thanks for joining me today for a new tutorial. And I wanted to show you a new way of using the PETAL envelope die from Simon Says Stamp, along with a few other Simon release products from the Fluttering by Release. So I've got the Love You Mama stamp set and then the PETAL envelope die. And this envelope die, as of course the name suggests, is used to be able to make an envelope which can also fit a gift card. But I wanted to do something a little bit different. I'll talk about that in a second. What I'm doing first is I'm taking that die and cutting it into some craft cardstock. You'll notice that there are scored lines that are created when you run this through your machine, and that's going to help you later when you go to fold the envelope. But I first need to decorate it, and that's why I'm using the Love You Mama stamp set. I'm going to be using those flowers, which are so pretty and really, really fun. And I'm going to stamp these all around the envelope. My idea with this envelope is to take it and put it onto the front of a card and have a message hidden inside it. So when you open the envelope, you'll have a message which I will create with the Love You Mama stamp set. I'm stamping these flowers in some cobblestone ink from Simon Says Stamp. I love the look of this ink on craft cardstock. And I'm filling the entirety of each flap with these images. I'm not worried about the middle because that's going to be the part that gets adhered to my card. And I'm also taking this cute little leaf stamp, which I had from another Simon Says Stamp set, and I'm just using that to fill in some of the really teeny tiny areas. I'll also fill in those teeny areas using a white Signo pen. I love the look of Signo pens on top of craft cardstock. They just stand out so pretty. And I'm going to use that to create little dots. I need that to dry, so I'm going to set that aside while I work on everything else. I'm first starting by working on the panels that will go onto the card base. So I'm going to take this piece of white cardstock and a previously released reverse polka dot background stamp from Simon Says Stamp, and I'm using Mountain Mist Altenew ink to do the stamping. That's going to create this cute little polka dotted mint background. I'm also using the wrapped scallop stitches dies from Memory Box to cut little scalloped panels that'll go onto my card as well. You can use any sort of rectangle. I just like the scallop look with this design. Thought it matched really well with the scallop petal shapes on the envelope. Now the large scallop panel you're not going to do any stamping on. We're only doing some stamping on the smaller scallop panel. And I'm stamping a couple of the sentiments from the Love You Mama stamp set in some navy and also the cobblestone ink. I'm stamping Love You Mama and then that cute little sentiment that will coordinate that says I'm thankful every day that you are my mom. So after I've stamped those, I'm also going to use those flowers that I used on the envelope to add some accent stamping on to the panel. This panel is going to go inside of the PETAL envelope. So this is what's going to be seen when you open up the card. I did also stamp the butterfly from that Love You Mama stamp set in some coral sun-kissed ink from Simon Says Stamp, and I'm coloring it with some coral colored Copic markers. I'll also use those Copic markers on the flower centers of this inner panel, and I also used a single mint color to add some subtle shading to the petals of my flower. I'm not doing anything super detailed with these images because these are just accenting the sentiment, and I liked the really simplistic look of them and the simplistic coloring. A final bit of embellishing that I did to that panel was that I took those two coral Copic markers and added some dot detailing to the background. So now I'm moving on to adding these pieces onto my card base. So I'm going to layer the empty scallop panel and the polka dot background together using foam tape, and then I'll attach that onto my card base. I'm going to bring in that PETAL envelope now and start putting this together. I'll fold the flaps first just to get the creases going, but once I've folded all of the flaps, I'm also going to take a bone folder and I'm going to score each of those flaps because I want the edges to be really crisp and fold down really nicely. Then I can adhere my little scallop panel inside of the envelope. I just used some simple double-sided adhesive to attach that panel down, and then for the butterfly, I will pop that up with some foam tape. And I'll just pop him along the corner. You can pop him anywhere as long as he's clearing the score lines because you want to be able to close the flaps. Now speaking of closing the flaps, we need to have a closure to hold this envelope together because I'm not going to use this as an actual envelope, so I'm not going to use adhesive. Instead, I'm going to take my tonic craft pick and a little embossing mat and just poke some holes on the top and bottom flaps of my panel. That's giving me some holes that I can then go ahead and take some baker's twine and thread through there. You can use any type of ribbon or twine or whatever you'd like to close this. I liked this really cute corally colored baker's twine. I thought that really matched nicely with the colors that I used on this card, and I'll just tie that into a bow. Now I'll spare you the long process of me really fiddling with this bow and getting it perfect. So fast forward, and here it is already put together. So I'm going to trim off the excess ends of the twine, and now we have this cute little envelope that I can attach down onto my card. I'm using just some straight double-sided adhesive for this as well, so this is going flat down onto the card. Now that I have this put together, let's embellish the front. Now I'm using the new ADELINE butterfly die from Simon Says Stamp. This is part of the new release. I'm going to cut this out from some Simon Says Stamp glitter cardstock. I'll cut it out from both this pink color and also some gold. And I'll pop the butterfly up off of the envelope, making sure I clear the top edge of the envelope because I need to be able to open the envelope. And if it's over the edge of the envelope, it's not going to open all the way because the butterfly is going to get in the way then. I did use some liquid glue to attach the antennas onto the butterfly. And here's a look at how I finished off the card with just a simple sentiment on the front. And then you open it up and there's a really beautiful sentiment on the inside, which I think is a really fun way to create kind of an interactive card, a little bit of fun surprise for the recipient. And I think this is a really fun way to be able to use the PETAL envelope die in other ways other than just making envelopes. So I hope that you enjoyed this video and got some inspiration on using some of these new Simon release products that are part of the Fluttering by collection. You can head on over to my blog to get more information on this card, including still pictures, products used, and also this is part of a blog hop, so you can head on over there to get links to that as well. I also have a couple other cards that I created using the new release. Here's a sneak peek at some of them. You can see these in greater detail if you visit my blog too. So thanks so much for stopping by. I will see you again very soon with more inspiration, and until then, have a great day. Bye!